so if you're voters, you need to be sitting in the area. Andy, can you come up here? Heidi Barker, where are you? Oh, there she is. All right, good morning. Thank you all for coming. It's 9:17. We're going to go ahead and get started. Town of Acton, Maine warrant to Robert Anderson, a citizen in the town of Acton. Greetings. In the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town of Acton qualified to vote in town affairs to assemble at the Acton Elementary School on Saturday, April 6, 2024 at 9 a.m. in the morning to vote on the following articles. Article 1 is to choose a moderator for said meeting. In all of your packets, the very top ballot should say moderator. Are there nominations for moderator from the floor? Richard Nass has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Last call for other nominations for moderator. Seeing none, state law does require a minimum of 3 voters to fill out their moderator card, so if 3 of you will do that. Okay, Mr. Nass, you've been elected moderator. Do you want to come forward and take your oath? I, Mr. Nass, do swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the state, town of Acton moderator, the April 6, 2024. I do swear that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my ability the duties of office of Maine according to the Constitution and laws of the state. Very good. Over there.
Good morning. Great turnout. Thank you for coming, despite the difficult situation out there. First time on the road in 2 days, and I thought, I can't believe the mess out there. Thanks to all of our road crew that I guess freed most of us up. A lot of us don't have power yet, but we're getting there. Okay, when you came in, you should have gotten this package, part of which Jennifer had explained. These small pieces on the top of the package are for voting. The top one now can be discarded, but we'll be starting pretty soon on voting for various committee members. All of the small pieces of paper that you have will pertain to each of those elections. We'll explain those as we get to them. Most important, this piece of paper is your ticket to voting. When we ask for a vote, you're going to have to hold this up in the air. When you come forward, you drop off a ballot, either a written ballot or voting for people on these committees. You're going to have to bring this with you. Okay? This is your ticket to vote. There's a yellow piece of paper in most of the packets. And Tom will talk about this in a few minutes. It's a little bit of financial information. Following that is the warrant articles. This is the document we'll essentially be working from today. What we need you to do is start out with a Pledge of Allegiance. There's a flag up there. If we could all stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
objection, we are going to be guided by the main moderator's manual to you. Those are the guidelines and the rules, the parliamentary rules that will be functioning in this meeting. Okay, they're fairly simple parliamentary procedures. Surprisingly enough, we're actually going to be looking at a revised edition this year, 2021, edition 7. It wasn't much of a revision, but so all the rules that you've seen in the past are essentially in force now, and there won't be much of a change. We want to hear from some folks who are non-resident, non-voters therefore, who are working for the town and will probably have something to say. And unless there's objection, I want to identify who they are now. One, Jennifer Rue. Jennifer's our clerk. She's in the red back there. Jennifer, raise your hand. Jason Seveny. Where's Jason? Jason's in the back. He's our code officer. Thank you, Jason. And then on the school side, Jonathan Ross, the superintendent. Jonathan's in the back. Hand up.
Could we add Paula Lynn?
Paula's on my list. Thanks, Judy. Paula Langfang. Sorry. I queried 5 people about that. Did I get it right? Pretty close. Sorry. And Sharon Trey. Sharon here?
No.
Sharon, special ed director. So she may not be, she won't be here, but she was on the list. Okay. There is, I think everybody's aware now, there's a daycare functioning out in the library on the other side of the hall. There's food over here. We are not necessarily going to take a food break, so if you are interested in partaking in any of the food over here, you can do it at your leisure as we move around. Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns about where we're going? Okay, let's go with Article 2. We're now going to go through a series of electing board members. Article 2, to choose 3 members of the Warrant Finance Committee for a 2-year term. Leslie Berlin, Charlie Heideck, who Phil Caruso's original seat, and Ray Lopez, terms are expiring. Do we have nominations for the Warrant Finance Committee for 2-year terms?
Leslie Berlin.
Leslie Berlin is nominated.
Ed Woods.
Ed Wood?
Ed Woods.
Ed Wood? Is Ed here?
Yep.
Where's Ed? Okay, Ed, thank you.
Laurie Wood.
Lori, 2 married people? I guess that's okay. Never had that happen before. Lori, congratulations, you're first. Lori Wood. Yes, sir. Bernie Broder. This is for Warrant Finance Committee. Leslie. Dennis Long. Yes.
Lee Robichaud.
Lee Robichaud.
Robichaud.
Robichaud, okay. I'm sorry? Okay, Lee is on the committee already, is that?
He's an alternate.
Alternate. He could be voted in this, we're voting for permanent members, so he's an alternate, but he could be voted to have a permanent place on the Warrant Finance Committee.
Harvey Fields name.
I'm doing my best.
We're going to redo it here, just a minute.
Is that it?
Is it visible? Can people see it?
Lee Robichaud, Leslie Berlin, Ed Wood, Lori Wood, Bernie Broder, and Dennis Long.
Other nominations? Charlie Heideck. Okay, everybody has the orange sheet of paper. You're going to put 3 names on here for a 2-year term on the Warrant Finance Committee. Do we want to redo it, Jennifer?
Is there anybody that can't see that wants me to rewrite it or reread them? Lee Robichaud, Leslie Berlin, Ed Wood, Lori Wood, Bernard Broder, Dennis Long, Charlie Heideck.
Okay. The orange sheet has got 3 slots on it. You can put 3 names on there. Do not repeat the names. There's no such thing anymore as bullet voting. So it could be 1 name, 2 names, or 3 names. Do not repeat any names, because the vote won't count. Okay, any questions about what to do? Okay, you need to write it in there and come on forward with your pink sheet. No vote's going to go in the box unless you got this in your hand. You cannot bring anybody else's ballot up. The person has to be here.
I'm texting him today. I just flipped him off. Oh, ammo.
Everybody that's going to vote, voted. Okay. The honorable clerk has recommended something that is a little out of the ordinary, but while they're counting, he suggests, and I agree, that we should go on to one of the zoning articles first, which means skipping over, which normally would. So if there's any objection to that, you need to hear that now. Okay, so everybody that's voted on the permit, or the 2-year, 3-year terms for the warrant finance committee, the votes are in now. We're done with that. Okay, so without objection, we'll go on to Article 6. See if the town will vote to adopt the Town of Acton floodplain ordinance. Now, everybody's got their big packet here, 33 pages of articles. Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. This particular article goes on from pages 1 to pages 19. So it's a good portion of the whole packet. So I need a motion on Article 6. I think we, yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. I'm supposed to read the whole article. I'm not going to read it unless somebody objects. 19 pages. Go ahead, Leslie.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading.
That's fine. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of waiving the reading of 19 pages, put your hands up in the air. Thank you. Hands down. No reading. Go. Make a motion.
I make a motion to accept the article as read.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept Article 6 as written. Are there any questions or comments on the floodplain ordinance? Jason, where's Jason? Is he here? Jason? You want to talk about it a little bit, just to make sure everybody knows what's happening? Just give us about 2 sentences on the floodplain.
So this is, the town has to adopt this one. I guess they can choose not to, but if you choose not to, people in the floodplain will lose their insurance. This is a state mandatory adoption. All I did was ask the select board to adopt what the verbiage the state gave me. So that spells it out to anybody who is in the floodplain, what they have to do to get a permit.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on Article 6? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt Article 6, raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed? Article 6 is adopted as written. So we're going to go on to,
Richard,
yes.
can you ask people that when they make a motion or something to state their names?
Sure, yeah. Most of the motions are going to be made by Leslie Berlin, because she's chairman of the Warrant Finance Committee, the group that's basically spent weeks and months looking at this budget, along with the selectmen and the town employees. So because we try to stay away from negative motions, Leslie's going to be doing most of the motions. Leslie, raise your hand. She's currently chairman of the Warrant Finance Committee. So if somebody objects to that, her making all the motions, you need to say that. And I'd be happy to listen to somebody else make a motion, but we don't really need it. We just need to get this stuff up in front of us so we can vote on this stuff. Okay, so we are looking at now the bottom of page 19. Okay, Article 7 is at the bottom of page 19. See if the town will vote to adopt the mooring ordinance as printed. And again, unless there's objection, I'm not going to read the ordinance. Leslie, motion on Article 7. And then the actual recommendation from the Warrant Finance Committee and the selectmen is on page 22. And like just before we make the motion, Leslie, I think this is one of the only places in this whole packet where there's a difference between the selectmen and the Warrant Finance Committee. Mostly the same recommendations are the same. In this case, the Warrant Finance Committee has recommended not to pass. The Select Board has recommended approve the articles written. Leslie, what's the motion?
I make a motion to accept the article as written.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 7 as written. Are there questions or comments on the mooring ordinance? Yes, come on up. If you want to speak, come on up to the mic on either side. Just line up and we'll listen to the...
Is this the appropriate time to discuss the warrant?
It is. The whole ordinance is up for discussion now.
Okay.
After which we're going to vote on it. Okay? Go ahead.
So
Just
I'm
tell
a
us who you are.
Robert
Okay,
and a resident.
okay,
And I'm in favor of this ordinance.
okay.
And the reasons I'm in favor of this ordinance is that the people at the state and inland and fisheries, the people that oversee the navigational aids for all the lakes, have recommended that the towns look at establishing a mooring ordinance. The state has the rights to pass the enforcement of these ordinances onto municipalities. And there are other towns that have lakes in their jurisdiction that have adopted a mooring ordinance. We're not setting precedents here by any stretch. The reasons for having this ordinance are spelled out in this, I think it's Article 2 of the ordinance. And it's for safety purposes and for maintaining the navigation of the lakes, as well as the rights of the property owners. And I think that there's some concern that it was going to raise additional workloads on the code enforcement officer, who would be the established harbor master in the case of a town that doesn't have a true harbor. This is a fairly standard practice. And I've reached out to several of the towns that have adopted the ordinance. They have all for me, either directly by the code enforcement officer, the town administrator, or other people that work in the code enforcement department, that this has not created any undue burden to the town or the staff to manage and oversee.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on Article 7?
Leslie Berland, Warren Finance Chair. We have 6 voting members on Warren Finance, and 3 of the members do live on the lakes. One lives on Great East, one on Square, one on Mousom. So the larger lakes are pretty well represented with this. And we felt that there, not necessarily a mooring ordinance wasn't warranted at some point, but at the public hearing, there was a lot of disagreement, and we felt that the ordinance as written wasn't quite ready. There still needs to be more input from the people who live on the lakes, and the right-of-ways and easements were not addressed in this ordinance, which we felt needed to be addressed before it should go forward.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on Article 7, the mooring ordinance? Yes,
Thank you. Yes, my name is Tom McGurty. I also live on a lake. I was at that public hearing, and there was a fair amount of discussion. But I will say, I think the questions and or concerns about it really were raised by people that had right-of-ways to the lake, as opposed to shoreline property owners. That was my sense of it anyways. And in this revised draft, we basically have left that matter between those that have an easement and the property owner to resolve.
Okay, other questions or comments? From somebody else had a hand up out here and I missed it. Yes, she is. Okay. Come on, tell us who you are.
Hey, Lauren.
Laura?
Yeah, what are the dangers of mooring to the public?
Can anybody answer the question? Dangers to mooring to the public?
It says it's for health and safety, but what are the...
Okay.
Ryder Greenwood. I just did a quick scan of the ordinance, and from what I see, and also there's nothing addressing anchor lights. So if somebody's out at night and there's a mooring out there and it's really dark because they want to fish or whatever they want to do, people got a right to go on the lake at night with proper running lights. There should be an anchor light. Maybe I just missed it.
Yes. I guess I would say there are moorings currently in our lakes, and I think you're correct. There is no requirement for anchor lights. I suppose that's something that could be considered by the town, but individuals are currently allowed to put moorings out. They do so. At least on my lake, there are no mooring lights. So it's already in existence.
Additional comments or questions on Article 7? If you want to come up and say you didn't answer my question, that'd be okay.
Well, no, I guess, is that the only danger, that there are no lights?
Okay, additional comments or questions? We're open for discussion on the mooring ordinance. Come on up. Sure, yeah.
The moorings take place between the shoreline and 200 feet out. But beyond 200 feet, it's open water, and you can travel at any speed on the lakes. The moorings take place between 100 and 200 foot area. And these are areas that are subject to people swimming, they're subject to people fishing, they're more congested areas along the shoreline. And the more moorings you have out there, the more maneuvering you have to do around them. The way the regulations work is that if you're within 200 feet of the shore, it's head speed only in your boats. Okay? So they're trying to address the safety issues with the head speed only. But if they get congested with a lot of moorings, then the areas become very difficult to navigate, especially with its winds, and the boats will move on their moorings back and forth. And so if you're out swimming or other boats are moving through these areas, then it creates a hazard.
Additional comments or questions on Article 7? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Hands down, those opposed. Looks like it, well, I don't know. Looks like it passed. I think we should count it just to make sure. This is pretty controversial. Hands down, please. Okay, we're ready to go. Those in favor? Yeah. Okay, you want to stand? Okay. All those in favor of adopting Article 7, please stand up and hold your card up. Okay? Thank you.
Anybody over there? Good?
Hands down. All those opposed to adopting Article 7, please raise your cards. Or stand up, I'm sorry, Steve.
David.
Okay, hands down, thank you. So we are looking at 71 to 41, so Article 7 is adopted as printed. Moving on, are we ready on the count yet? We're still counting. Okay. Moving on to Article 8. See if the town will vote to amend the zoning ordinance relative to filling, grading, and other earthy moving activity as specified below. And again, unless there's objection, I'm not going to read it. Here we go. Leslie, motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the article as written.
So moved and second to adopt Article 8 as written. This is what the Warrant Finance Committee recommended and the Board of Selectmen recommended. Jason, you want to tell us a little bit about this one?
So just a quick recap. So last year, the town voted to amend the zoning ordinance for mineral extractions. And in the verbiage, it already reads, anything over 1,000 cubic yards is up for conditional use permit. We, the board, planning board, and myself kind of missed the land use chart. So just for, make it clean, we put it in as an article and let the town vote on it again because it's a different part of the ordinance. But it's already been changed in the body of the ordinance. Just now we're just going back and changing the land use chart.
Additional comments or questions on Article 8? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 8 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down, those opposed. Article 8 is passed as written. Article 9. See if the town will vote to amend the zoning ordinance relative to water quality protection as specified below. And again, the interesting part here is the recommendations are different. So Warrant Finance Committee recommends approve the article on a 4-2 vote. The Board of Selectmen ought not to pass on a 4-0 vote, just so you notice that. Leslie, motion?
I make a motion to accept the article as written.
For a second, it's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 9 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 9? Mary?
No, I was telling Dan.
Okay. Comments or questions on Article 9? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Steve Ike. I live on Loon Pond, and I approached Jason about getting an ordinance proposed. I had a neighbor bury a dog next to my well. They contaminated over time, and I've already spent $4,000 to clean up my water so I can drink it again. So the state has many things on the books, but it doesn't address a domestic animal. Farm animals, this dog have to be 80 to 100 pounds, and after consulting with all the various agencies, department, environmental protection, agriculture, water quality people, they all tell me the same thing, they shouldn't do it. It should be minimum of 100 feet. So that's how they came up with the 100-foot from the water line or a drinking water well. It doesn't have, you don't have to live on water for this to apply. If your neighbor buries a dog next to your well on a back lot, it's the same deal, it should apply. So we do all kinds of things in this town, on the books, in the state to protect the waters from setbacks to cutting a tree, removing vegetation, removing a rock, believe it or not. There's all kinds of things to protect it, and this is one thing that I think just makes common sense to put it on the books so people don't do it. And nobody else experiences what I went through this past 8 months. So I'm hoping that everybody kind of does the right thing and passes this so another neighbor doesn't have to experience this in our town.
Thank you. Other comments or questions on Article 9? Leslie?
Leslie Berland, Warren Finance Chair. I just want to explain why Warren Finance had recommended this ought not pass. We felt that this was perhaps a little bit of overregulation. This is an unusual and unfortunate circumstance, and it felt like overregulation because, you know, when has this ever happened before? And
Just to be clear, the Warren Finance Committee recommendation is to approve the article on a 4-2 vote.
I thought it was.
No. 4-2. Select board is 4-0. I assume that that's correct.
Anyway, so we, there
You
were
have two members who were.
members who felt that it was a little bit
Yeah.
of overregulation.
Okay.
And I myself, the select board voted against it. If the zoning article read, you know, to be so many feet away from a well or a body of water, that would have been fine, but when you add in the resource protection and everything else, it kind of the same things, like Liz was saying, a little overreach. I think this article could have been tuned down a little bit, but I think there's just too much in here that could have been left out. Make this better.
Additional comments or questions on Article 9? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 9 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? And we're going to count this one again. So, Jennifer, are you ready to count? Okay. So why don't we do the same thing? Those who are in favor of adopting Article 9, please stand up and hold your cards up. This is a good exercise. Stand up. Okay, all those opposed to adopting Article 9, please stand up and hold your cards up. All right, I'm confused now. 25. Okay, hands down. Thank you. So the yes, the adopt Article 9 wins 56 to 49. 56 votes in favor of adopting the article, 49 votes opposed to it. So Article 9 is adopted as written. At this point, we're going to ask Tom to talk to us a little bit about, I guess we're not ready to go on any more elections. Are you ready to go now? So, Tom's going to give us a little bit of information on the financial pictures of the town relative to the yellow handout that you got. I understand that not everybody got the yellow handout, but Tom can talk about it. Doesn't short. So maybe a few that didn't get it, but
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom McGrady. I'm a selectman. I've been a selectman for a little over 2 years. I think during that period, the select board has really taken an effort to examine the town's finances and to to create opportunities for information to come out. We've had a number of public hearings on the status of our budget, on the status of our cash and reserve balances. What the select board has asked me today to provide some discussion about some material that you've received. It's on these yellow sheets, and I'm really going to talk about the first 2 pages. Each of the select board members has expertise, and mine happens to be finance, and that's why I've been asked to speak to this morning. This top sheet is a summary of the tax calculations for the coming year. And basically what we wanted to do was explain to you, the voters, if all of these articles get approved, what are we likely to see as a tax rate for next year? And I say likely because there are still some, if everything does get approved, there'll be some opportunity for some of the revenue numbers to perhaps change. The use of our savings accounts or reserve balances could change. But this represents the select board's best estimate of, if everything gets approved, what's likely to be the tax rate. And so let me sort of quickly go through this. There are 2 budgets within the town as we think about it. One is the municipal budget. That's the fire station, transfer station, town hall, and other units within the town. And then, of course, there's the school budget. So what you see here are 2 distinct categories of budget lines. You can see that the expense budget for the coming year, all the articles, if they were approved, would amount to $4,614,000. That's what we'll spend. Compared to the prior year of $4,770,000, that's actually a reduction of 3.3%. We expect to have revenues of $1,447,000, pretty much in line with the prior year. And we're planning on using $250,000 of our savings account, or what's called undesignated reserves, to help lower the tax rate. Now, this is a practice that we've had for a number of years in Acton, and we've had a lot of public discussion about what our reserve balances are. So, for the municipal budget, we're looking to effectively raise $3,017,000 through the tax rate, the property tax rate, and collection of taxes. And you'll notice in the prior year on reserves, there was a rather significant sum. And this is a practice that's been going on for some time. In particular, using reserves for capital purposes, road, paving, etc. And as we look at the reserve balances, we see them declining. And so the impact of that is that when you fund a budget with reserves, you're effectively drawing on your savings account to fund your operating expenses. Personally, I think that's not a good practice going forward. We should maintain an appropriate amount of reserves, but to fund operating expenses or the equivalent of your own personal budget out of savings, not a good idea. So we're trying to take that down over time. With regard to the school budget, you can see that their appropriated amounts, if all approved, would be $6,629,000. That's against the prior year budget of $6,013,000, and you can see the rate of increase there. They also have some revenues, and they're planning on using some of their reserves to fund the budget. And this is something they've been doing for a while as well. You'll notice that the reserve use has gone from $200,000 in the current year to a projected $400,000 next year. So the amount needed to be raised by taxes for the schools will be $5,610,000. So the school, I think, would correctly point out that the amount that they're looking to ask the taxpayers to fund out of taxes is 4.4%. My only caution is that we're using reserves to partially pay for those expenses. And at some point, they're going to run out of reserves, perhaps. They continue to generate a surplus, maybe not. But the same reasons that's a concern, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, is that we're using savings to pay for the operating budget. So the tax rate for the current year that we're in now is $6.45 per thousand. If all of this gets approved, that tax rate would go to 7.20%. And below, I've just indicated, based on the valuation of the house, you can sort of take one of these three numbers and try to estimate what the impact would be on individuals. You can see what the annual impact is for people. Now, if you go to the next page, we talk about undesignated reserves. A lot of discussion over the last year and a half about undesignated reserves. You'll notice when this was first discussed in town, I think, through a public hearing, at that time, that was for the year ending June 30, 22. We had reserves of $4,540,000. The town had $3 million and the school had $1.5 million. We generated surplus since that period. Basically, the audit is complete and it's indicated we had a surplus in our fiscal year 23, the year ending June 30, 23. I've made a further assumption here that we're going to generate another surplus this year for the town. I've not made any assumption about the school. And I'm assuming that we're going to generate another $250,000 in a surplus. That's about half of what we did this year. And the reason it's going to be less is you'll notice the budget has been reduced. We're purposely trying to reduce the amount of the surplus to help keep the tax rate down. And in addition to that, you'll notice $643,000 is going to be spent on various capital projects. We're going to pave 2 roads, and there are some other minor capital projects. And the school has a series of capital projects it's going to be funded. You'll notice also how much we've used in reserves over the last couple of years. This is since June 30, 2022. We've taken some out in the last year that was audited, and we're planning to take some out this year. So in total, we've used $2 million during that period of our reserves to lower the tax rate. The town used $1,250,000, and the school used $800,000. So the projected balance of our reserves, if all of this comes true, is that we'll have $2.35 million in reserves. That's almost $2 million less than we had 2 years ago. And the municipal side of that will be $1.9 million. And my estimation of the school, this is probably best done by them, but based on the information I had, is basically a little under $400,000. Now the town has a surplus policy. You always want undesignated reserves. In the event of an emergency or some unforeseen event, you always want some money in a savings account. And the way the policies are written and have been adopted by the townspeople is there's a minimum maximum level that we want in reserves. And according to the policies, and they're a little different for the town and the school, but if you take those percentages and apply them, the surplus policy says we should have 1.1 million as a minimum of reserves. 760,000 at the town level, 331,000 at the school level, and a maximum level of 2,118,000. So basically a spread there of $1 million between the high and the low. You can see that our projected reserve balances are going to be 2,359,000. It's above the maximum level. Quite frankly, we think there are going to be some capital projects coming along that we're going to need to fund. We've lowered the municipal budget, which means we're going to have less surplus. So we're trying to keep some of our reserves set aside for capital projects that we expect will be coming down the road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, we've had the results of the election for 3 members for a 3-year term in the Warrant Finance Committee. Top voter getters: Leslie Berlin, Lee Robichaud, and Dennis Long. Any questions about that? Yes, Tammy. Okay. Tammy's sneaking around here. She just reminds me that coffee's ready if anybody wants coffee. Okay. All right, I guess we can go on now. We can go back now to the second election, which would be Article 3. to choose one alternate member for the Warrant and Finance Committee for a 2-year term. The open seat is expiring. Previously Charlie Hyatt's seat. Are there nominations for the alternate member for the Warrant and Finance Committee? Yes, sir. Charlie Hyatt. Other nominations? Dennis?
I just have a question.
Okay, question.
Where we just elected an alternate to a full-time member, that means that that alternate position will be open. Is that something that we feel here today, or is it something that was left in the point? The way they-
Because first of all, the individual has to take the oath and officially take the seat. You know, agree to take the seat as a member. If he's sworn in, and doesn't come until July 1st, there's an opening with the resignation of the alternate position to the board of appointment.
So the alternate will resign, and today,
If he chooses, he'll resign. I don't think that's fair to make that assumption today. We don't know. He's not an actual, he's not an actual regular member.
I appreciate that.
Until he's sworn in, so the other term is really not open. I mean, it's not, you know, assume he's going to take it and he's sworn in.
Additional, not, all set?
Mr. Moderator, what do you
Yes.
think?
No, that sounds good. I mean, he's really, we're jumping ahead here, just one small step. Additional nominations for the alternate member for the Warrant Finance Committee.
Laurie Wood.
Yes.
Laurie Wood.
Lori Wood, yes. Other nominations? Okay, what we're looking at is the green sheet of paper. One name. Other nominations? So we have two nominees. Hearing no more nominations, that's it. Put a name on the green sheet, bring it forward along with your pink card. Do not fold the ballots, please. Do not fold the ballots.
Oh, look at this guy. Look at that.
All the ballots on this. Okay, Mike? So we're going to do this one, count this one a little differently than we did last time. We're going to move to Article 4, because this one does not, the counting of 3 does not impact 4, so we're going to move to 4. So Article 4, to choose 3 members of the Town Road Committee for a 3-year term. Cindy Hart, Dennis Long, third, and Richard Bleakney's term are expired. Bleakney was appointed when Matthew Winchell resigned after being appointed to Pat Stevens' original elected seat in 2021. So we're now looking for 3 members of the Town Road Committee for 3-year terms. Any nominations? Nancy?
Gail Boisvert.
Denny Long III.
Dennis Long. Other nominations for the Town Road Committee, Article 4.
I have to respectfully decline unless I'm away for many months during the winter. I don't know if that's a problem. I'm willing to be on it, but I'm not always here.
That's, you have to decide whether that's going to be a problem, I think. So I'll speak for you. We'd like to have you on the committee, Gail, so keep your name up there. It's hard getting people to do this stuff. Other nominations?
Tim Collins,
Who's that?
Tim Collins.
Okay, this is the blue sheet. So again, 3 names, 3 slots. No other names. Any other nominations? So let's get a few people to write up 3 names on the ballot. And we'll railroad Gail right into this position. She's going to be thrilled. I don't want to hear from you later, Gail. Okay, I think we got enough balance. We got enough. Everybody relax. Okay, let's go to Article 5, unless there's objection. Article 5, to choose 3 members of the Forest and Conservation Committee for a 3-year term. Kelly Collins, Sherry Vanessi, and Joe Rooma's term are expired. Vanessi was appointed after Valancourt resigned after being appointed to Ham's original elected seat. He declined in 2021. Rooma was appointed as an original vacant seat in 2021, carried forward to 2018. It was never filled. Boy, is that confusing. So we're looking for nominations. 3 members of the Forest and Conservation Committee. Steve. Kelly Collins. Other nominations? Yes. Joe Rooma. Sherry Vaness. Steve, another one?
Those 3.
Okay. Other nominations? The Forest and Conservation.
Quick question.
Yes.
We do have a committee of 7, presumably. Is there a particular reason why this is narrowed down to 3?
Depends on when the term expiration.
Expiration terms?
They don't all expire the same year.
Okay.
We cleared all of the openings with the chair and reviewed the records, so if you think it's different, we can talk about it next week.
Other nominations? Seeing none, I guess we need 3. We need a few pieces of paper with 3 on it. And it's the purple paper. Purple paper. Okay, everybody that wants to get a vote in on this? Okay, while these are being processed, Jennifer, we can go on, right? Okay, so we're now switching on to the bottom of page 23. Articles 10 through 20 are school-related. So now we jump to school issues. So Article 10, first one. See what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to spend for regular education. School committee recommends to expend $3,100,956 for regular instruction. Warrant and Finance Committee to expend the same amount, $3,100,956.16. I forgot the 16 cents. So I'm going to let Judy make the motions, okay? Judy, go for it.
I make a motion we accept the school committee's recommendation.
Okay, Judy, we need, on these articles, we need you to state the amount, because these are open articles. They don't, the article itself doesn't really state the amount.
I'm under talk.
Under talk.
That's good.
So the motion Judy's going to make is,
I recommend that we expend the amount of $3,956,956.16 for regular instruction.
is there a second?
16 cents.
So moved and seconded to adopt the school committee's recommendation at the level of $3,100,956.16. Are there questions or comments on Article 10? Yeah, okay. Joe was the second. Okay, you okay? Comments or questions on Article 10? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting Article 10 as recommended by the school committee, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 10 is passed to expend $3,100,956.16. Article 11, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for special education. School committee recommends $1,392,900 for special ed. Warrant Finance Committee recommends the same. What's the motion, Judy?
I recommend that we spend $1,392,900 for special education.
Who's the second? Ray, Ray's the second. Any comments or questions on Article 11? Yes, ma'am. Come on up, tell us who you are.
My name is Crystal. I had a question about where the money will be used.
Where the money will be used?
Yeah, for the special education.
For special education? Do you have a budget book for special education?
I didn't see where we go now.
But can you be more specific? What is it that you,
What
special ed
would
is
the
a-
money would be used for? Are you going to hire another special education teacher or?
No, this is for special education, for the teachers that we have in place, for our special education director, for students who are out of district placement, for transportation, for special ed, for services that we bring in to take care of physical therapy, occupational therapy, all of the above.
So I have a question, why wouldn't we hire, it seems to me that we would need to hire another special education teacher. My son is in speech therapy, and I know a lot of other students are as well. It's just overcrowded. And they only have certain times when they can pull them out. So I just had a lot of trouble with that, so I just wanted to know why we can't use some of the money to hire another teacher, so all the kids wouldn't have to be spending it in the class.
I would say probably because we're keeping our budget we're keeping within our budget, and this is the most effective way to spend the special education money by bringing in the specialists that we do every year.
Well, my son needed an occupational therapy evaluation, and she was so overbooked that he hasn't even seen one.
I think that's something you need to talk to the special education director.
Right, and I'm just asking, that was just my question, is if we need to hire more people, then I just think that.
Okay, everybody's entitled to their opinions here. Comments or questions? Mary, you want to talk about this a little bit?
So these are contracted services, speech, occupational, and whatever the workload is, that's the amount of people that we hire. So it's definitely contracted.
Other comments or questions on Article 11? Yes, sir. Tell us who you are.
Riley, and we just brought a couple of children in from Auburn, and whatever our wants may be, we're a lot better off than that school district as far as special ed goes, because they didn't even know this child needed what this child needed. So we're doing pretty good here in Acton. Everything could be better, but we're doing pretty good.
Other comments or questions? Yes, man, you look like you were moving in this direction. Did you want to say something? Okay.
I was just.
Got to come up to the mic. People at home will be looking at this. Go ahead, tell us who you are.
Yvonne Misha.
Okay.
I just wanted to respond as far as special education and speech therapy, occupational and physical therapy. Those are related services. Those are not provided by teachers. Those are provided by therapists that are contracted into the district, as the special ed program has always had contractors. They are not direct employees of the school district as far as I'm aware. And there's a process for getting kids in, so if there are concerns that your child isn't being seen in an appropriate manner, you would want to go to the special ed director, as there are state-guided guidelines for how those services are provided and how evaluations take place.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions on Article 11? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 11 at $1,392,900. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 11 is adopted at $1,392,900. Article 12, see what's on the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for career or technical education. The school committee recommends to expend $0. Warrants and Finance Committee, the same thing. Judy, I guess we need to do something with this motion.
One of my favorite articles.
Yeah.
School committee recommends to expend $0 for career and technical education.
Been moved and seconded by Mary. Dan, any comments or questions on Article 12? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt Article 12 as recommended by the school committee, please raise your card. Make your hands down, those opposed. Article 12 is adopted as recommended by the school committee. Article 13, see what's on the town of Acton will authorize school committee to expend for other instruction. School committee recommends $66,443. Finance committee recommends the same. Judy.
I make a motion we expend $66,443 for other instruction.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded by, who did the second? John, okay. Other comments or questions on Article 13? Deb, are you coming up to talk, or? No? People moving around, I'm not sure anybody's, it doesn't look like anybody's heading this direction. So the motion is to adopt Article 13 at $66,443. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down, those opposed. Article 13 is adopted at $66,443. Article 14. See what's on the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for student and staff support. School committee recommends $571,712.81. Judy.
Make a motion we expend $571,712.81 for student and staff support.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded by Jeanette. Are there comments or questions on Article 14? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt Article 14 as recommended by the school committee at $571,712.81, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed? Article 14 is adopted as recommended by the school committee at $571,712.81. Article 15, see what some of the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for system administration. The school committee recommends $256,573. Is there a motion, Judy?
I make a motion that we expend $256,573 for system administration.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who was the second? Mary? Mary did the second. Jeanette was first, okay. All right, are there questions or comments on Article 15? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 15 at the $256,573 expenditure. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your card. Take your hands down. Those opposed? Article 15 is passed as recommended by the school committee. Article 16, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for school administration. School committee recommends $299,542. Is there a motion on Article 16?
I make a motion that we expend $299,542 for school administration.
There's seconded by Mary. Article 16 is moved and recommended to adopt the school committee's recommendation at $299,542. Are there comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion to adopt the school committee's recommendation, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 16 is adopted at $299,542 to adopt for school administration. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll take a break here on school stuff and deal with some of these things that we can. So, alternate on school, Warrant Finance Committee alternate is Ms. Lori Wood. Lori, you're in. The others are pretty, the other ones are in. Does anybody have any questions about the other nominations? That we had 3 members for each of these, so those have been essentially elected. Anybody has any questions, you can bring it up now. Okay, going on with school. Sorry, Judy. Article 17, to see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for student transportation. School committee recommends to expend $385,350 for student transportation. Is there a motion, Judy?
I make a motion that we expend $385,350 for student transportation.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Mary to adopt the school committee's recommendation to expend $385,350 for student transportation. Are there questions or comments on Article 17? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt the article at $385,350. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed? Article 17 is adopted as recommended by the school committee at $385,350. I should just stop here. I'm passing over the Warrant Finance Committee's recommendation. I hope everybody can see that they're all the same, basically. There's no difference here. There's a difference, I'll point it out, but there is none. So, in the land of Acton, everything is cooperative. Everybody's in agreement. You don't really believe that. Article 18. To see what sum the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for facilities maintenance. The school committee recommends $551,916 for facilities maintenance. Judy, do you have a motion?
I make a motion we expend $551,916 for facilities maintenance.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Mary to adopt the Article 18 as recommended by the school committee at $551,916. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 18 is passed as recommended by the school committee at $551,916. Article 19. To see what the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for debt service and other commitments. School committee recommends 0. Warrant Finance Committee, all the same thing. Judy, a motion on Article 19. Let me just stop here for there's 2 of these articles that have 0 in it, but we have to do it. The state basically tells us what articles we have to put before the town or the voters on schools, and you see, in our case, 2 of them are zeros. That doesn't mean we can skip over them. So, Judy, a motion.
I make a motion, we expend 0 for debt service.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. John. Been moved and seconded by John that we adopt Article 19 as recommended by the school committee, which is spending $0 for debt service. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Hands down, those opposed. Article 19 is passed as recommended by the school committee, which is to expend $0 for debt service. Article 20, to see what sum the town will authorize the school committee to spend for all other expenses, including nutrition. School committee recommends $4,000 for all other expenditures, including nutrition. Warrant Finance Committee the same. Judy, you have a motion?
I make a motion, we expend $4,000 for all other expenditures, including nutrition.
Seconded by Mary. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 20 as recommended by the school committee at $4,000. Are there comments or questions on this article? Seeing none, all those in favor of the article to adopt article, please raise your hands. Cards down, those opposed. Article 20 is adopted as recommended by the school committee at $4,000. Okay, now we're getting into some still school articles, but these are more summary, or I don't want to say generic, they're just summary articles. Article 21, to see what sum the municipality will appropriate for the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act. Recommendation is $4,540,785. To see what sum the municipality will raise as the municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12, as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, which recommends $3,921,466 in accordance with the Maine Price Statutes, Title 28, Section 15688. There's an explanation which I won't read. The school committee recommends to appropriate $4,540,785 from pre-kindergarten to raise $3,921,466 as the municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education. Judy, do you have a motion?
I make a motion that we appropriate $4,540,785 for the total cost of funding publication from pre-K to grade 12 and to raise $3,921,466 as a municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding publication education from pre-K to grade 12.
Second.
Been moved and seconded at Article 21 to adopt the school committee's recommendation. And again, the Warrant Finance Committee is similar. So we're now looking at appropriation, $4,540,785, and for the total cost of education, and to raise an additional $3,921,466 as the municipality's contribution. So we got, is there any comments or questions on this? This takes your breath away. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed? Article 21 passes as recommended by the school committee. So we're clear, $4,540,785. An additional $3,921,466 as the municipality's contribution has passed, has been approved. Article 22. This article requires a written ballot. So we are going to be looking at the yellow sheet now, it was in your packet, with a yes or no on it. You are going to be checking yes or no and passing it in, coming up here as we have before. Here's the article. To see what sum the municipality will raise and appropriate in additional local funds, recommend $1,679,302 that exceeds the state's essential programs and services allocation model by the recommended $1,679,302 as required to fund the budget recommended by the school committee. School committee recommends raising and appropriating $1,679,302. In additional local funding gives the following reasons for exceeding the state's essential programs and services allocation model by $1,679,302. Essential programs and services allocation model does not fully support all the costs of the pre-K through 12 program. These funds support programming not included in the essential programs and services model, including transportation, nutrition, and other education and support programs. The Warrant Finance Committee recommendation is the same. Judy, we have a motion.
I make a motion that we recommend $1,679,302 as required to fund the budget.
Moved and seconded by Mary. Are there questions and comments on Article 22?
Maybe just a little explanation as we go
Sure.
along here.
Yeah.
It says on here that it doesn't fully support all the costs. The state's essential programs is very bare bones, what the state requires that we supply for our kids in Acton. It doesn't support a full-time music program, art program, gym program, a nurse. It doesn't support our preschool program. There is high school transportation. There are so many things that the state does not require in those essential things. And those are things that we have felt all along that are very essential and important for our children in Acton to have. So that's why this extra article is put in here, so that we'll be able to provide what our kids need here in Acton beyond the essential program.
Other comments or questions on Article 22? Ray, go ahead.
Ray Lopez. The only thing I do is the recommendation was to recommend, and I believe we should be using the word appropriate.
I don't.
She read it as the school recommends that they appropriate $1,600,000.
Oh, I see. So Judy didn't use the word appropriate. I didn't notice that. Thank you. So Judy, let's modify your motion to get the word appropriate in there is important. I see the superintendent smiling. He doesn't have the money if we don't do this.
I make a motion that we appropriate.
Let's go raise and appropriate. You're redoing the whole motion. You're going to raise and appropriate.
Raise and appropriate
Thank you.
$1,679,302.
Perfect.
In additional local funds.
And that's been seconded? Second. Mary, my second. I had to wait Mary up there. Okay. So, is there additional questions or comments on this? So we're now going to do this by secret ballot because the state requires that. So we're going to take it, you're going to check this yes or no. You're going to bring it up. Do not fold the ballots, please.
Let's go, girl.
two and two?
Everybody got their ballot in. Last call, everybody got their ballot in? Okay, we're gonna take a, before we move on, I think we're done with the, no, we're not done with the school article. So while we're counting that, let's move on to Article 23. To see what's on the town of Acton will authorize the school committee to expend for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025. And the school department's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 is described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act. Non-state funded school construction projects, additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statute Title 28, Section 15690, unexpended balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. There's an explanation. The school committee recommends to expend a total of $6,629,393.30 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024, ending June 30th, 2025, to fund public education from grades pre-kindergarten through grades 12. The warrant committee has the same recommendation. Is there a motion on Article 23, Judy?
Does this article depend on this vote?
I don't think so. John, Superintendent, there's no connection between this. It's a separate article, but if the previous article were to get voted down, we'd still need to vote on this one. Yes, so I'm getting yes. So the answer to Judy's question is no.
Okay, all right.
So we need a motion.
I make a motion that we expend $6,623,393.
No, wrong number, Judy. Go again.
Am I in the wrong spot?
Yeah, so we're on Article 23, 629.
Oh, 620, okay. I make a motion, we expend $6,629,393.30 for the fiscal year.
Seconded by Jeanette first. She gets that one. Recommendation. Are there comments or questions on Article 23? This is kind of the total article, everything totaled up. Explanation it talks about it here. I did not read the explanation, but essentially this is the total. Are there questions or comments on Article 23? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion on Article 23, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down, those opposed. Article 23 is adopted at the $6,629,393.30 level, which is a total. It's not an appropriation, it's just everything collected together. Okay, Article 23 is adopted. Article 24, shall the school committee be authorized to expend such other sums as may be received from federal or state grants or programs or other sources during the fiscal year for school purposes, providing that such grants, programs, and other sources do not require the expenditure of other funds not previously appropriated. The school committee recommends to authorize the expenditures of grants and other funds as per Article 24. This article, and the warrant finance committee recommendation is the same. Judy? Article 24.
I make a motion, we authorize the expenditure of grants and other funds as per Article 24.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mary on Article 24. Are there comments or questions on Article 24? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting Article 24 as written, please raise your cards. Hands down. Those opposed? Article 24 is adopted as recommended, as written. Article 25. To see what sum the school committee will be authorized to transfer from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated capital improvement reserve account. To authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account as needed in its discretion. This account is used for repairs and maintenance of buildings and parking lots. School committee recommends to transfer $325,000 from the school's undesignated fund to the school's designated capital improvement reserve account to replace flooring, sidewalk improvements, roof repairs, security doors, and security upgrades. Warrant Finance Committee recommends the same. Judy, you have a motion?
Recommend that we transfer $325,000 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated capital improvement reserve account to replace flooring, sidewalk improvements, roof repair, security doors, and security upgrades.
We'll get Joe. Joe did the seconding this time. Joe, are there questions or comments on Article 25? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting Article 25 as recommended by the school committee, please raise your cards. Make your hands down. Those opposed? Article 25 is adopted as recommended by the school committee to transfer $325,000 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated capital improvement reserve account. Article 26. To see what sum the school will be authorized to see what sum the school committee will be authorized to transfer from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated minor capital project reserve account. To authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account as needed at its discretion. This account is used for minor projects. Is there a motion on Article 26? Judy?
I make a motion that we transfer $54,700 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated minor capital project reserves account to replace kitchen, dishwasher, and convection ovens, and to purchase AEDs for the school.
Seconded by Mary. The motion is to adopt Article 26 at the $54,700 level as far as transferring. Are there questions or comments on Article 26? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion to adopt Article 26, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed. Article 26 is adopted at $54,700. Article 27. See what sum the school committee will be authorized to transfer from the school's undesignated fund to the school's designated fuel reserve account. Authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account as needed in its discretion. School committee recommends $10,700. Warrant Finance Committee to set. Judy?
I make a motion that we transfer $10,700 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated fuel reserves account to replace used funds.
Moved and seconded by Mary to adopt Article 27 at $10,700 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated fuel reserve account. Are there questions or comments on Article 27? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting Article 27 as recommended by the school committee, please raise your cards. Those, put your hands down. Those opposed? Article 27 is adopted at $10,700 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's fuel reserve account. Article 28. See what sum the school committee will authorize to transfer from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated tuition and assistive technology reserve account. To authorize the school committee to expend funds from that reserve account. This account is used for purposes of covering unexpected new residents moving in with high school students, homeschool students designed to attend charter schools, or the high school and new residents, of students having special needs. School committee recommends transferring $75,000 from the school's undesignated funds to the school's designated tuition and assistive technology reserve account for salary and benefits for a teacher hired after fiscal year 23-24 school. I guess there's supposed to be a period in there. Keeps running on. Judy, do you have a motion?
I make a motion we transfer $75,000 from the school's undesignated fund to the school's designated tuition and assistive technology reserves account for salary and benefits for a teacher hired after the FY 23-24 school year town vote.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Article 28 as recommended by the school committee. Judy's reading is better than mine. It made sense when you said it. Okay, there are comments or do we get a second? We got a second from Mary. Are there comments or questions on Article 28? Seeing none, all those in favor, ooh, Dennis, there we go, yep.
We've got through quite a bit of the town meeting without me really saying.
I know. I needed a relief, thank you.
I thought you did. This isn't particularly related to this particular article, but it is about the school. And I would like to thank the school department and for being proactive in dealing with some of these needed capital improvements and spending down their undesignated fund balance to accomplish this. And I think it's a great job they did.
Okay, so we're still on Article 28. We have a motion in a second, right, Amy? Does anybody else have any comments or questions on Article 28? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 28 is recommended by the school committee at $75,000. Please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 28 passes at $75,000.
Can I make just one comment before we move on?
Yep.
I appreciate Tom's presentation at the beginning of the meeting about the town finances. And you're going to find in any municipality or city that you go in, always the school budget is always going to be higher than than the municipal budget. It's just the way it is everywhere. And the reason for that is because 90% of the school's budget is contractual. It doesn't give us much room to work. We have contracts with teachers, we have contracts with buses, we have we have contracts for our students to be tuition to Sanford High School, we have contracts for people to come in and provide services. So it gives us very little wiggle room. So as a school committee, we really appreciate your approval of these articles that are allowing us to do some of these projects that we just haven't been able to budget for, and it will save us from having to ask the town in future budgets to come up with the money for these projects. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. So we have results of the written ballot, Article 22. Yes, 115, no, 13. So we're going to take about a 10-minute break. In the meantime, we're going to pull the 50-50 raffle thing. And this young lady with red hair over here, she can come up and pull it. I think it's great to have red hair. I had red hair. Yeah. Oh, I still have hair. Yeah, try to get everybody not to leave until we pull it. That would be great. People who are leaving because the school is done. $350, so half of it goes, half is on the line here. He's really serious about Congratulations. All right, we're going to take about a 10-minute break now. Two folks here are anxious to sell stuff. There are also Girl Scout cookies being sold over here. If anybody wants to that was part of what they All right, we have a proposal that's been made while you were taking a break. The proposal is that we group Articles 29 through 37, which are all administrative articles. And we vote them all at once. Here's, many moderators' manual discourages this because it prohibits anybody from basically getting up and talking against any particular one. But we vote these in consistently year after year, and there's really never much of a problem unless we have a selectman that tries to buy somebody's property. Then we have a lot of discussion about it. Other than that, so I'm open for any comments or questions. So what we would be doing would be getting a motion on all the articles 29 through 37, none of which amount to involve money, and getting one motion on it and doing them all, one way or the other. You could vote them all down. Typically, they're all approved. Tom, do you want to talk about this a little bit? Or?
Yes, actually, you've explained it well. These are
Million would be, I guess, probably cash in one of the T-bills that we have.
Okay. So this is an amendment. It's been moved and seconded to rewrite Article 38 to appropriate $110,869, raise and appropriate, and take $1 million from where?
Cashing in that investment, $1 million out of our investment. And that'd be a total appropriation of $1,100,000.
We're now talking about the amendment. Tom, you have some questions or comments?
I just wanted to comment on this. Is it appropriate now, or?
Wait a minute. We get the, okay, so let's make sure we get the wording. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $110,869 for wages, operational expenses, and employer costs of general government, and use $1 million from, I'm not making any sense. Dennis, help us out.
Basically, what I believe you're recommending is that we, in order to cover this article, we raise $110,000 and we withdraw $1 million from our undesignated reserves, which would then allow us to spend the amount that's recognized here as $1,100,000.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, yeah. So,
let's go back to Jennifer and make sure she's got this.
I understand also what he's trying to say, but it's going to be in words, so we're going to rewrite it. So to see the town will vote to appropriate the
To raise.
Are you going to appropriate the first amount and then raise?
No, we're going to raise the first amount. We're going to raise $110,869, and we're going to appropriate $1,110,869.
That one of the TD bills. I think that's what they are.
well, it would be undesignated reserves.
Okay. You said, you think you got it? Okay. All right, so now it's been moved and seconded, this is an amendment, so now we're open for discussion. Tom, do you want to express an opinion?
Yes, as I discussed earlier, I'd shown you a forecast of what I think our undesignated reserves will be at the end of fiscal '25, when the budget we're approving has been completed. The Select Board has done a significant amount of investigation into our capital assets. The transfer station, the fire department, town hall, and most importantly, our roads. It's our most significant asset and requires a significant amount of money each and every year to maintain them. We had an engineer come in and do a survey of all of our roads. We're going to complete that analysis by understanding how much we need to be putting aside each and every year to properly maintain our roads. I've heard the fire department at some point may be looking at some new equipment needs. Not quite sure when or what those will be. I think it would be premature to spend our reserves down by $1 million at this point, so I would not recommend this.
Other comments or questions? Dennis? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you tell us who you are?
Nancy Maloney, Atro. Tom just answered some of my questions, but
Get closer to the mic.
my question in general is, I know that there's a minimum and a maximum that's been set for the reserves. My question is, is there a benchmark from other towns or whatever as a percentage of overall budget that has been looked at, and are we within that?
We've done some investigation of this. We've looked at some towns and looked at what their surplus policy is. More importantly, I think we've talked to our auditors and our accounting firm that has recently been engaged. And they've indicated that on balance you should have 3 months of coverage of 3 months of expenses, and that's the basis for the policy. It's at 33%. So there are some towns that have a lower amount, and quite frankly, I think the town should look at its reserve policy and assess whether or not the policy we have continues to be appropriate. I really do think until we've done these assessments of our capital needs. It's just premature to spend them at this time. We've lowered our budget. We used to generate a large surplus. I don't believe we're going to be doing that going forward. You saw a reduction in the budget of 3.5% approximately. You should keep in mind we're covering salary increases and everything else in that budget. So the real cut is more significant than that. So we believe we can do that based on the prior level of surplus that we've been generating. I don't believe we're going to be generating the surplus we've had in the past. And that is going to leave us with needing to manage our capital funds going forward. So I think until we've done all that work, it's just premature.
Additional questions or comments?
Nancy Maloney, I just have
Go
one
ahead,
follow-up
yeah.
question. So ultimately, we're using a certain amount for the reserves to decrease our tax rate for this year, or increase it, decrease it.
250,000
Right.
proposed, that still
Yeah.
can be adjusted.
Yeah, so my question is, so this increase in taxes would be on the heels of the reevaluations that were done last year. I know the taxes went down a little bit, but it was still a significant amount. And so this would be on top of that, and my other question is, are there other means to fund that? Do we know how many new homes are going to be built this year, and what revenue that's going to bring in, et cetera?
I believe we have a limit on the number of building permits that can be issued in 32. So, you know, exactly how many we have that might be built is unclear at this point, and when they'll come online. There's always some level of that, but at this point, we don't have an estimate of what that will be in the future. So I've made, in the material I distributed, I've made no assumption about growth in the tax base.
Additional comments or questions? I'm going to go with Joyce and then back here. Okay, Joyce, question, comment?
Joyce Bakshi, former chairman of the Capital Improvement Committee, sorry. What I want to say is, about a year ago, I went to the select board as the chairman and said, we have the feeling, the committee had the feeling that we were becoming redundant because we did have a new accounting person. There were assessments coming in, all kinds of new things were coming in. And they were doing a job that we were looking at with much less experience or knowledge. I suggested that the committee be suspended. The Board of Selectmen agreed. It was a very good move. I now think it might be a good idea for the select board to rethink having a capital improvement committee. That way there's more clarity, there's more transparency. You can watch capital meetings, you can watch select board meetings, and everybody should be doing that anyway. But the point is, with that $1 million, the town has to realize we're getting it back. You know, everybody says we've been overtaxed. Maybe we have. To me, that's not an argument that should be put aside. It's done, it's over, now let's make it work for us. We have projects. Parking lot in the town hall, it's been there for a long time. The need. Those of us who are of a certain age know sometimes when you're trying to get in and out of your car like this, it can be very awkward. We have a rec department that is got to go for our children. They need work done at the rec department, driveways, fields, and all that. The building, the fire department, I can tell you from capital improvement, the fire department is going to be looking at a new engine in the next couple of years. $5-6 million, if any of you read the newspaper. Lewiston just got a new engine that cost them over $1 million. We're going to need that. We are the ambulance. We could use another ambulance. I mean, people say, well, how many times do they go out? Well, sometimes they go out, you call them at 911, and you get an ambulance from Springvale. Somebody from there comes to you because ours is already out. So there are plenty of capital improvements that need to be done that impact the roads. We all are going to get benefits of the roads being done. So I really think that I would support going along with this article. I think it's a great way to get, as it stands, the article as written.
We're talking about the amendment now. We're really drifting off. This article is
We're
about.
still discussing the amendment.
We're still
Yes,
discussing the amendment.
Right.
Yes, and I would go to support it as written, not.
Wait a minute, you're not supporting, are you supporting the amendment or you're supporting the bill?
I'm supporting the
You're
article,
against
The bill.
and I am against the amendment.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
I'm
tell
just
us who you are.
Dennis Long. I'm just curious what the town's investment dollar amount is and the actual dollar amount of the reserves.
All right, we're starting to drift away from this. David, do you have a?
Well, that's relevant in the $1 million.
Well, this investment, the money you talk about is investments, is our undesignated fund. It's as simple as that.
No, I think that's considered designated.
Nope. It's, Joe, really, I misspoke. But at the same time, let me get to my point here. We've already designated $250,000 towards lowering the tax rate. What we're looking to do is, because we were going to put 500, but we're looking at over the long period of time to expand this out so there's not a huge clip that we're going to drop off, which we're going to drop off. Because if you look, we're spending $1 million every year more out of our undesignated fund. If we take just that $1 million out of here, you're going to feel good for this year, this taxes. It's going to give you a warm, fuzzy feeling because you're going to drop your tax bill down to where it is now, and yay. Until you get your next bill after that, because what's going to happen is it's going to hit you all at once. What we're trying to do is make a gradual increase in taxes. It's going to happen because we're running out of that undesignated fund that everybody thinks that we're just going to go out and just spend. We're just trying to make a gradual increase in our tax rate. If you vote for this, you're going to feel good this year. It's going to catch up to us next year.
So nobody has the answer to my question.
What's your question?
How much money do we have in the investments itself? The actual dollar amount.
Okay. The investments are derived from the town's cash. And that
I understand, Tom, what it is. Can you just give me a dollar?
Well,
It's in the report.
Wait a minute.
It varies throughout the year. Right now, there may be $4 million, but that's because we're starting to get tax receipts. That we're going to need to cover expenses until the next round of tax receipts in October. So the cash balance will go up and down. We have a core level of investments that are in treasury notes, which is about $3 million.
Thank
The
you.
rest of it,
That wasn't.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor Gurney, I just.
We're talking about the amendment now.
I am.
Okay.
I'm not a finance person, but I'm going to tell you, this is how I see it. I was a teacher, and I'm going to give it to you that way. If I take $25 a week I've saved for 20 years, and I decide, oh, now I'm going to just spend this all this year because I can't afford my expenses, what's going to happen when I need a new roof, when I need a new dishwasher, when I need a new siding on my house, if I have a leak in the roof? I'm going to have no money because, oh boy, I had all that money to spend. It's like these people that win the lottery and they spend it all because they're impulsive. That money needs to be put aside, and David's right. If we save money this year, we are going to pay for it through the nose the next year. And I'd rather have gradual than have to have, you know, a $15 tax increase, because we do need to fund the fire department. We do need to make sure everybody has what they want, but we also need to have a reserve. What if H Road, what if we have a horrible storm and Will has tons of work to do? Oh, we don't have the money because we all wanted a $5 savings on our tax rate. Doesn't make sense. It's actually not the brightest thing to do.
Additional comments or questions on the amendment? Nancy?
So what you're saying basically is that we've been artificially keeping our tax rate low?
Exactly.
yes. And, yes, sir.
As Tom was explaining it to you before, is if we weren't using our undesignated fund to offset that every year, our tax rate would have been a hell of a lot bigger than it is now. Well, we could have taken a lot more this year and got us back to flat line. But when we looked at the tax rate at 645, for us to do that, we were gonna have to dump a bunch of our designated reserve in. So instead of just dumping money into that reserve and falling off the cliff in 2 years, we decided to cut it in half, do a gradual increase, because we know with the reval and everything else, we did not want an increase at all this year, especially because of the reval. But to make that gradual increase, we figured for the average person, it would be better than all at once.
And that would happen even with the increase in our tax base. Through new building plus tons of renovated buildings, the inflation in property prices that are selling.
Okay, additional comments on the amendment? Yes, ma'am. Dennis, tell us who you are.
Lori Woods, and I'm in total agreement with Tom. I'm a finance person, and to me, having reserves is imperative. The rate of inflation is going skyrocketing. I get that. It goes up with our house values, property taxes, everything. But that said, should we need new fire equipment or something happens to our school, we are going to need that money in the future. And that amount of money now is going to be worth much less 2 or 3 years from now. So I can't even imagine taking out our reserves and leaving ourselves short-handed in case an emergency situation comes up. I mean, look what happened during COVID. I mean, all the funds that were spent, if that happens again, something similar to that, we'll be screwed, basically. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, and that's coming from basic economics.
Additional comment. Dennis, do you have something else to say?
The reason why I did this was because over the past 10 years, we've accumulated several millions of dollars in excess of what we should have raised to operate the town with whatever's voted at town meeting today. The town is only supposed to tax us on what's voted at town meeting. And we've been overtaxed, our revenues have been underestimated. Otherwise, we wouldn't have $5 million. Okay? According to the report that we have here, we have a little over $2 million plus the investments of $3 million in the TD bills that the town's invested in. And that's still going to leave us plenty of money. And the talk about inflation and all our expenses, well, as homeowners, we know that our groceries have gone up 30%. We know that heating has gone up exponentially. And we can only, just because the money's there doesn't mean that we need to keep it. And as far as we need a fire truck, anything else, the town meeting has always stepped up and given the fire department when they need stuff, whatever they need, or the school. And the school is spending their unassigned fund balance down to try to get it to the 5%, which the state says they need to be. And I think having the town's budget's $4.5 million, and to have 4 million or 5 million, whatever it is, in the bank is just asking too much out of the taxpayers.
Okay, let me go to Mary, then Tom. Okay, just hang on, Tom. Mary?
So I guess I just need to know from Tom, you have the undesignated reserve policy. Now, under municipal, you say the balance will be $1,972,000. So let's just call that $2 million. That's where he came up. If you said there's $3 million sitting in a T-bill somewhere, or however you have it invested, that's where he's coming up with $5 million. So do we have $5 million, or is some of that $2 million, some of that? I don't know.
Fair enough. Let me explain the difference between undesignated reserves and cash. You can't add them together. Undesignated reserves are basically like equity. It's called fund balance. And we have equity in basically two ways. We have money sitting in undesignated reserves, and the schedule I passed out explained what's going to happen to those balances by June 30, 25. We've gone from $4.5 million to something under $2.5 million. In addition to these undesignated reserves, we also have reserves in other accounts. All right? These would be construction or road accounts, etc. Those reserves or equity also are offset with cash. You can't take the reserve balance and add to it the cash. The cash is derived from the reserve. So if you add them together, you're double counting. The $3 million we have invested in 30-day, up to 90-day treasuries, that represents our reserves, our core reserve level. We don't expect to go below that level. Right now, I suspect we have $4 million in cash or investments. That's going to go back down to closer to $3 million, especially after we do this spending. So I believe our undesignated reserves, according to this, are going to be about $2.3 million. We'll have some money sitting in other reserves, and we need to keep that money there, that cash there, so that when we go forward with those projects, we have the cash to pay for them. So the cash is basically being set aside for those purposes that the funds are sitting in those reserve accounts. So please don't add them together. Otherwise, we'll end up without any cash.
Additional comments or questions?
I'm a bit confused. I'm sure a lot of other people are. We have two banks that we deal with, correct, Tom?
I'm sorry, we have two what?
Banking institutions?
Yes.
We have one banking institution, which we had for a lot of years, Partners Bank, which you withdrew X amount of dollars out of Partners Bank and invested in TD Bank. Some of it was invested in treasury notes, which I fully understand, and some of it was put in a special savings account that TD Bank authorized us to have. Is that correct?
Not exactly. I can explain it if you'd like.
Continue, go ahead.
We transferred, I believe, $4 million from our current bank, at our primary bank, at Partners Bank, into a brokerage account at TD. The reason we did that, that cash was all sitting in Partners and earning 0.1%. Now I think about that. Interest rates of 5% on CDs and in particular on treasuries. So the money we took out of Partners and transferred into TD Bank allowed us to take and invest that money in government securities that are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. That, quite frankly, is better than FDIC insurance, if you ask me. Because who's going to back up FDIC? Treasury. So that money has all been invested. We earned better than 5% this past year, which was about $230,000 is what I estimate we will have earned by the end of the year. So some of that was put into treasury notes, which are basically treasury bonds. There was some money, and those have a maturity of 90 days. And we bought them so that every 30 days one of them would roll over. The other account we put it into was a treasury, a variable rate treasury fund. Again, these are fully backed by the U.S. Treasury. This is not a money market account. This is a commingled fund that is managed by a firm that is invested totally in treasuries. The thing about this fund is you can take your money out every day. It doesn't have a maturity that will limit your ability to withdraw from that. And on those monies, we earn 5.3%. Again, backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government.
Additional questions?
No, just additional comments.
Okay.
Okay, so we have this money invested with TD Bank. Okay, are we still operating out of Partners Bank?
Our primary checking account is with Partners Bank.
Okay, stop there, Tom. Is that where our quote, undesignated fund is?
The undesignated.
Don't commingle.
Wait.
Question, what, Roland?
Roland, let him finish.
Let him answer the question.
Roland,
Ask
let
the
him
question, let
finish.
me answer it.
Go ahead, let him ask it. Please finish your question.
Are we paying bills out of Partners Bank?
Yes.
Are we paying bills out of TD Bank?
No.
Very good. Okay, so our undesignated fund is located in Partners Bank. Oh, and I'm going by the old terminology, Tom, okay? I know that you use undesignated reserves, okay? The reserve word was never attached prior to you joining us, okay? So I'm old school. Undesignated fund was undesignated fund. That was excess money that the town had in the bank. So our money is being spent out of Partners, not out of TD Bank. So how the hell are we broke? Excuse my English.
Not broke.
We're getting way off line out of what this is supposed to be. Yeah, so the motion, unless we have something else, yes ma'am.
Make a motion to move the question.
All those in favor of limiting debate, go, Dennis?
I want to make a motion that we vote on the secret ballot.
Oh. Okay, so the motion is there a second to voting by written ballot, not secret ballot, written ballot? It's been moved and seconded to vote by written ballot. This is on the amendment now.
What article are we going to be voting on?
We're voting on Article 38. The one article is 38 as amended by Dennis. Okay? And we'll talk about the amendment in a second. Not a secret, it's a written ballot. We're talking about a written ballot now. Piece of paper, yes or no? Okay. This is a majority vote, it's not nothing special about it, it's the amendment. We're talking about the amendment now. Tell us who you are.
Ann Selmier, I just have a procedural question. So it was motioned that we amend the article, and it was seconded on that motion, but we didn't vote to amend it, did we?
No, we didn't, we're going to be voting, the question now is we're going to vote the amendment by written ballot. That's what's going to happen.
To make the amendment, or to
No.
vote on the amended?
See whether it passed the amendment or not by written ballot.
Okay.
That's my understanding of what's being proposed here. If it passes, then we still have to vote for the main motion, okay? And- no. Yes. Yes. Right, yes. Right. So the motion now is to deal with this amendment by written ballot. All those in favor of that motion, please raise your cards. Hands down, those opposed. All right, so we're now back to the amendment itself. The amendment which, as I see it, reads, to see if the town will vote to raise $110,869 and appropriate an additional $1 million for a total appropriation of $1,110,869. And the additional $1 million is from the undesignated balance.
I don't think you specified.
It was originally Dennis's amendment.
But it wasn't part of your amendment. It was implied, but it wasn't part of your amendment.
Dennis, get up here and let's deal with what the amendment, the original amendment, not whether it's going to be written or not.
No, this is ridiculous. When you do an amendment, you should, for $1 million, we should have it at least written out so we know what we're voting on anyway. This is getting confusing.
We're going to straighten that out right now.
The town clerk did write it down. What the motion was.
What do you got?
So with the help of, David's right, with the help of the words that he added, you agree to see if the town will vote to raise $110,869 69 and appropriate an additional $1 million from the unassigned fund balance to be derived from the TD account for wages, operations, and
Thank you, Jen.
Okay.
Because we talked about investments before, so.
All right, so, and I know this has been confusing, but is everybody square on what we're doing now? We're voting on an amendment to Article 38 that would raise $110,000 and change and add to that, take $1 million out of the undesignated fund to essentially fund this at the level that's being proposed. Okay? Anybody got any? Paul? Dealing only with the amendment.
Yeah. For clarification, hopefully, if this gets voted down, we're back to the original article.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Everybody, all those in favor of the amended motion, please raise your cards. Hands down. Those opposed? Okay, the amendment fails. Now we are back to Article 38. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,110,869 for wages, operational expenses, and employer costs for general government as detailed in the 5 accounts below that. Is there any additional comments or questions on Article 38? Seeing none, all those in favor of the article as proposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed? Okay, Article 38 is adopted at $1,110,869 for wages, operational expense, and employer costs of general government. Article 39. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,087,039 for wages and operational expenses for public safety, which includes the fire department, designated animal control, and other public safety. Warrant Finance recommends approval of the article. Same with the Board of Selectmen. Leslie, what's the motion?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
It's been moved and seconded by who? Ray? Ray did the second. To adopt Article 39 as written. Are there comments or questions on Article 39? Yes. Tell us who you are.
My name is Crystal. I definitely support voting and raising the money, but I was questioning about the animal control number. Should it be more than that? He does a lot. He works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week sometimes, and his expenses are a lot. He does a lot, always on call. So I vote to possibly amend the amount that he gets for a wage.
This is a closed article, so you can't raise the number.
Okay.
Nor, here's what would happen if it goes before, just so I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
You can't take some away from one of the other ones and move it into.
Oh, I wasn't asking you.
Okay.
No.
You can't do that either.
No.
This is a closed article.
Okay.
So our options are to make it lower or to go for it as it is.
Okay.
Because the amount is stated in the article itself, so that.
I can't raise stuff higher.
Can't raise it.
Okay.
That number that's put in there is what he requested for a number.
Oh, okay.
And we don't make up that number.
He requested it. Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Other comments or questions on Article 39? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 39 as written at $1,087,039. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed. Article 39 is passed as written. Article 40. See if the town will vote to pay wages and equipment for repair and maintenance of public ways according to the following schedule. Schedule being on the top of page 31. Warrant Finance Committee recommend approval. Bottom of page 31. Same with the Board of Selectmen. What's the motion on Article 40?
I make a motion to accept the article as written.
Moved and seconded by Joe Ruma to adopt Article 40 as written, including this long list of what we pay for the various equipment on the road issues. Okay. Are there comments or questions on Article 40? Yes, Dennis.
I think on the $35 an hour for the road commissioner being a foreman is a little on the low end.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on Article 40?
Go up the state rate, and then we've been given 3% raise. Last year there was a raise. That's what you requested. and that's what it's for.
Other comments or questions on Article 40? Motion is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 40 is adopted as printed. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $435,235 for public works, which includes the buildings, transfer station, and other public and the dams. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article. Leslie?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Moved and seconded by Ray to approve Article 41 as written. Are there comments or questions on Article 41? Seeing none, the motion on Article 41 is to adopt the article as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down, those opposed. Article 41 is adopted as written. Article 42, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $75,762 and to appropriate $25,000 from the state LRAP funds for the District 1 Road Department. Said funds to be dispersed after a project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the Select Board to be expended as follows. For summer maintenance, $100,762. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval, same with the Board of Selectmen. Leslie?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Is there a second? Second, who's, okay, Tammy? Tammy second? You get that? Motion on Article 42 is to adopt the article as written at $100,762. Other comments or questions on this one? Motion is to adopt Article 42 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 42 is approved as written at $100,762. Article 43. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $92,917 and appropriate $25,000 from state LRAP funds for the District 2 Road Department. Said funds to be dispersed after a project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the Select Board to be expended as follows. Summer maintenance, $112,917. Flat Ground Road, $5,000. Warrant Finance Committee recommends to approve the article, same with the Board of Selectmen. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Then moved and seconded to adopt Article 43 as written. Are there comments or questions on Article 43? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 43 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 43 is adopted as written. Article 44, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $409,747 for District 1 and District 2 winter maintenance and sand salt stockpile. And the numbers are specifically here for District 1, District 2, and the sand salt stockpile. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article, same with the Board of Selectmen. Leslie?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Been moved and seconded by Tammy again? Okay. Tammy's like you're not the motion is seconded to approve Article 44 as written. Are there comments or questions on Article 44? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 44 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your card. Thank you. Hands down. Those opposed. Article 44 is adopted as written. Article 45. See if the town will vote to establish a reserve account called the H Road Reserve Account to raise and appropriate $340,000 to reclaim and pave the portion of H Road from 2978 H Road to 4101 H Road. Any funds remaining in this account after completion of the repair, no later than 6/30/2026, shall be returned to the unassigned fund balance. Said reserve account shall be dissolved. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of this article. Leslie, what's your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Is there a second? Amy seconds it. It's been moved on Article 45 to approve the article as written. Are there questions? Dennis?
Yeah, we got the engineer report a little while ago, and I was just going to ask, well, in the engineer report, it talks about widening it to 26 feet, striping it, up and all the upgrades and stuff like that. Is that part of this? Is that what you plan on doing?
Question on striping and widening. Will?
We're gonna go wider, but I didn't put it in there to stripe any sections yet.
Well, just,
Okay, you gotta look at me when you're talking, not,
I was just wondering, because the engineer gave us specific things on the H road, is that what you're doing or not at all?
I'm gonna widen it, but not,
Okay.
that would be before we have.
okay, that's good.
And then I need
Yes,
to
Will,
make,
yes, go ahead.
I need to make a correction to the address. It's not 4101 H Road, it's 2491 H Road.
So that's a big amendment.
Oh, yeah.
So, give me, is the first number or the second number?
The second number.
Okay, what is it again, to 29? Okay, so that, Will is making an amendment to change 4104 to 2494, is that correct?
2491.
91, okay. Okay, is there a second to that? So moved and seconded to amend Article 45, changing the second number to 2491 H Road. Are there questions or comments on the amendment? Mary?
It looked like a good distance when you say 2978 to 4101. So how lengthy is this distance?
It's a mile long.
The answer was a mile long, Will? Mile?
Well, if we're going to amend it anyway, the next article does talk about distance. Can we add distance here as well, so it's like apples to apples on the two articles?
I mean, unless you have the exact distance, that'd be a good idea.
I don't have the exact distance. Well, this-
When we asked them to write the article, we asked them to give them, you know, addresses to where we're going to, just in case they can go further or have to go a little less.
So this is pretty specific. You got addresses. So the answer to Paul's question is no. We're not helped to do that. I think, Will, is that the right answer? Okay. All right, so we're talking about the amendment now. Does anybody have any questions about changing the actual addresses? Okay, all those in favor of amending Article 45 to eliminate 4101 and substitute 2491, raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Okay, so Article 45 has been amended. Now we're back to the original article. The motion has been made and seconded. Pretty sure, right, Leslie? We got the motion up? No, we don't have a motion for the, do we have a motion for the whole, for 45? Yes, we do.
Let me make a motion for the amendment.
No, we already did the amendment, supposedly. We have a motion on the main motion. Okay, so we have a motion on the, so, anybody have any comments on the amended article?
So,
Okay.
Let's make the original.
Motion to pass.
You don't have to,
Yes.
Bill came up and gave an amendment.
Right.
The amendment passed.
Right.
The motion to pass the
No.
amendment. Correct?
No,
We go back to
no,
our-
right, there's no, you don't need a motion, it's already been amended, so now we're
So you
voting
don't
on
need a
the,
motion.
we're not voting on the motion as amended. We don't need another motion. Okay, so everybody in favor of Article 45 as amended, please raise your card. Thank you, hands down, those opposed. Article 45 now has been approved as amended. Article 46, to see if the town will vote to establish a reserve account called County Road Reserve Account to raise and appropriate $433,000 to reclaim and pave 6,100 feet of 246 County Road to Fox's Ridge Road to include the county road intersections. Any funds remaining in this account after completion of the repair no later than 6/30/2026 shall be returned to the unassigned fund balance and said reserve account shall be dissolved. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article. Same with the Board of Selectmen. Listen.
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Been moved and second to approve, stand again? Approve Article 46 as written. Are there comments or questions? Dennis?
I believe last year we appropriated money to County Road. I think that's what Adam said last year, he's gonna put the finished pavement and finish up County Road, and I just wonder why we're doing it twice.
Will's coming up.
I believe the money was for the first section he did, which is all done. It's been paid, it's phased, everything's done, the shoulders are done. This is the money to finish the road. Everything that he asked for last year's been done.
I believe last year he was talking about, I very well might be wrong, but I thought last year he was talking about putting a finished coat of hot top. I know Adam's gonna hear you quick, but I was just curious. I know he had a list of projects last year that he was talking about doing.
Yep.
And he ended up doing Buzzell Road. That wasn't on the list of projects that he came in front of the town meeting and talked about. And I was just curious to see if that is why we came up short, and that's why we have to do County Road twice.
That's not why. The whole intention when he came to us is doing half of that road. That's what he's done. This is for the other half of the road.
So what didn't he do when he found the money for Buzzell Road?
Well, that's not, I guess that's in the category of a slam, I guess. I don't
Other
know.
money for the last project.
Nice try, Dennis. You made me
Okay,
want
so
to-
say the road is 2.5 miles, they did a half a mile.
We were allowed to, but.
Yeah, you were all lying to us. You were
All
lying.
right, any other questions on,
Other money side.
any other questions on Article 46? We're getting testy now, we don't like that.
Well, yeah, I want to explain something here.
Okay, sure.
Is when an individual comes up and makes accusations about somebody's budget that was passed in last year, and I actually have no idea what they're talking about, but doesn't give any respect to the person who was doing the job. Then you try to answer the individual and it's sarcasm or whatever. Well, there's going to be a little bit of that. These guys, if these people come to more than one meeting a year, they would know what was going on.
Okay, so we've had a little bit of that. Everybody, all right, hold it. We've been doing pretty good today, up till now. So everybody's got their shot in, we're done. All right, so the motion on Article 46 is to adopt the article as written. Hearing nobody else wants to talk about it, everybody in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down, those opposed. Article 46 is passed as written. Article 47. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $82,997 for recreation, APAT, cemetery, and forestry and conservation. And each of those accounts is detailed there. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article. Select Board recommends the same. Leslie.
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
It's been moved and seconded by Ray, I think I heard, to adopt Article 47 as written. Are there questions or comments on Article 47? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 47 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down, those opposed. Article 47 is passed as written. Article 48, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $94,880 for community services. There's a long list there that adds up to $94,000. I'm not going to read it unless somebody wants me to. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article on a 5-to-1 vote. Select Board recommends approval of the article on a 2-0-2 vote. I need a motion, Leslie.
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Moved and seconded by Tammy to approve Article 48 as written. Ray, are you coming up to talk?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd like to make an amendment to this article.
Yeah.
I'd like to amend total the $61,780. And my reasoning behind it is the majority of these places are asking for donations from the town of Acton. At the two that I am taking a look at, the Acton Shapley Youth Conservation Corps and the Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance, are asking for $43,100. I'm comparing that to what we spent at our public library, and it's a little over $10,000 more than what we're giving the library to have. So I make.
So you're proposing an amendment to take out the Acton Chapel Youth Conservation Corps and the Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance?
No, sir, I am making an amendment that we reduce those quantities to $5,000 apiece, making it to $61,780. And the reason I do that is because on the Acton Chaplain Youth Corps, only six households were helped in the previous year, and the revenue is over $5 million.
Okay, so give me the total again, Ray. What was it, 61 what?
$61,780. And that's according to their website, that's how I got
So
it.
is there, let's get the second. Is there a second?
Second.
I hear no second, Ray, so the proposed amendment dies for lack of a second. Question? So we're back to the original motion.
Right, I'm Ken Hockey with the Acton Shapley East Conservation Corps Board of Director.
Okay.
And I want to thank the town for all the commitment they've given to us since the year 2000. Since 2008, the funding has only increased one time by 5%. So we've been working on the same amount of money for years and years and years. We've worked on more than 5 houses a year. We do.
Talk to me, talk to me, don't talk to the audience, okay.
We do some of the largest amount of boat inspections in the state, roughly 10% of the whole state. We do somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 boat inspections a year in Square Pond and Mountain Lake. The total for the whole state is about 80,000 inspections. So we're up there for our small community. We do a lot of work, a little bit more than just erosion control projects, which are helpful for water quality on our lakes. But I just want to make a comment that I appreciate the money you give us, and we work as best we can with the money we've got. We do our own grant raising and other things to keep the money, keep the programs going as is. But then, you know, increase in wages have gone up double in the last 6 years or so. We still get the same amount of money from towns. So we're doing good with the money we get.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Okay. We are still on Article 48 as it was originally proposed at $94,880. Additional comments? Yes, ma'am. Crystal, right?
Yes. I had a question about the food pantry. In the budget book, there's no paperwork from them, what they're gonna spend their $2,500 on. So I was just curious what their plans were.
Okay, did anybody hear?
The food pantry, they're gonna buy food with that? Okay, and is there a possibility of, if they get the money, to like ask them to open up more than one day a month, or?
We can contact them directly. There is somebody available 24/7, we can advertise that number.
Okay.
If there's ever a need.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with it.
Okay, thank
I
you.
can give you that number.
Okay, thanks.
Additional comments or questions on Article 48? The article sitting right now, seconded, is exactly as it was printed, $94,880. All those in favor of the article, please raise your hands. And hands down those opposed. Article 48 is passed as written. Article 49. See if the town will vote to appropriate all funds received from the state from snowmobile registration revenue to the local snowmobile clubs for maintaining their snowmobile trails on condition that those trails are to be open to the public for outdoor recreation purposes at no charge. Warrant and Finance Committee recommends approval, same with the Board of Selectmen. Leslie,
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
is there a second? Andy, to approve Article 49 as written. Are there comments or questions on Article 49? Seeing none, the motion is to adopt Article 49 as written. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your cards. Take your hands down. Those opposed. Article 49 is approved as written. Article 50. To seek an advisory vote to determine if the select board should amend the current contract with Breeze Line, formerly Atlantic Broadband, to discontinue the collection of franchise fees. Warrant Finance Committee recommends approval of the article. Select board the same. Leslie.
I make a motion to approve the article as written.
Moved and seconded by John to approve the article as written. Are there comments or questions on Article 50? Dennis.
Yeah, I have a little leniency here, Mr. Moderator. This has got to do with more than just Article 50. I would like to thank the Board of Selectmen moving the town meeting date. And I know they worked very hard to shorten the amount of articles that we had. And we had a pretty good turnout today. And I would just like to thank them for that.
Thank you. I agree. Article 50 has been moved and seconded as written. All those in favor of Article 50? All right.
Can we get an executive summary of what this is all about? I heard something about another cable company coming into town, giving us a little choice. This may be part of that, but on the other hand, maybe it's not. Thanks.
What happened was we got an email from an individual in town concerned about their fee and their bill every month. They get charged for Breezeline charges them for the use of, for the town's channel. And so we talked about it, and it's like, oh, well, now that we're streaming, everybody can get it. The people that are paying for the little bill inside, you know, maybe we put it to a vote, so just get rid of it. So everybody, you know, the town's not getting paid for it, because only half the town's paying for it anyway, so. Not a very good summer. I'm tired. Long night, slow blowing. So, but that, go ahead.
Our contract with Board of Selectmen has the authority to get, can set a certain percentage back, and from 0 to 5%, we have 12.5.
Start from the beginning, David.
So, part of this is that with our contract, the Board of Selectmen has the authority, we can get a percentage back from Breezeline, anything from 0 to 5%, and I think it's at 4.5. But because of the streaming, that people can access the meetings without having to need cable, an email was sent asking about that. And we have the authority as a board to change it to 0%, but because of transparency, we wanted this to basically get the indication of what the town wanted to do with this, to get rid of that fee.
It's $30-some thousand a year that helps our tax base. By us just taking it away, it impacts your taxes, so we figured at this town meeting, we would put a vote to see, you know, what the consensus was, so when we did it, we felt we were doing the right thing.
Other comments or questions? Tom, are you going to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to belabor this, but from my perspective, at one point, everybody in town had cable. Now, what we're seeing is the number of people who have cable is going down. So for those people that get cable, they're paying $7 and some change every month. So this is, and that goes as a general revenue to the town. So this is effectively taxing unequally, not equally, but certain people that happen to buy a service, something like $80 a year. And it's discriminatory, it seems to be, and shouldn't be continued.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Seeing none, the motion is quite clear and specific. This is a referendum on whether the Board of Selectmen should amend the current contract and discontinue. Everybody okay with that? Everybody, so the motion is to adopt the article as written. Everybody in favor of the article, please raise your cards. Thank you. Hands down those opposed. Article 50 passes as written. In addition to Dennis's thank, I would like to thank the selectmen for getting us down to 50 articles, which includes the school. We haven't done the school here in years. It worked out all right. And so thank you all for coming. That's the big thing. The attendance has been great. Go home and rest.